One of the things that Christ promised his disciples before he went to the cross was that after he went to the cross and after he died and rose again, that he would one day return for them to take them to be with himself. We read those promises in the book of John. Since the time when Christ ascended into heaven, which is recorded for us in Acts chapter 1, believers have been looking for that for over 2,000 years, wondering, when is Christ going to return? Well, interestingly, believers are not the only ones who wonder when Christ is going to return. 2 Peter chapter 3 says that unbelievers wonder that as well. In fact, they mock his promise. I thought Christ was going to come back. Where is this God that's going to save you and has prepared a place for you in heaven? That's all fairy tales. That's a myth. Peter addresses that in 2 Peter 3. Many will mock his promise. But then Peter goes on to reassure us as believers of several things that are true in order for us to understand that promise that Christ made, which he will fulfill, and to consider when he will return. In 2 Peter chapter 3 and verse 8, Peter says this, "But do not overlook this one fact, beloved, that with the Lord 1 day is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as 1 day." So the first factor that we need to think about when we are looking around at our world and we're seeing the chaos right now, we're of course seeing what's going on in Israel and the Middle East and all of those situations that are unfolding, and we see the rampant immorality in our country, and we wonder, okay, Lord, when are you coming back? You said you were coming. You said you were coming soon. When is that going to happen? One of the factors that we need to consider as we look at our world and as we look at the return of Christ, look for the return of Christ, is that he is not bound by time the same way that we are. Peter says, 1 day with the Lord is like 1,000 years to us, and 1,000 years is 1 day. Now, we might look at one side of that and say, 1 day is as 1,000 years. Okay, we get it. God is eternal. He's been around since before the beginning of time. So, one day unfolding for him, it's like 1,000 years for us. But I want you to notice that he also says the opposite. 1,000 years is like 1 day. Well, how can both be true? Well, both are true because God is eternal. He is continually present. God does not have a past, a present, and a future. God is. Remember what he said to Moses in Exodus chapter 3? I am that I am. I am, not I was and I am and I will be. I am. God is always present. And so, unlike us, who every time we move, we look at our watches, or maybe now we look at our phones to see what time it is because we're going to think about the next thing that we're doing, God is not bound by those constraints. He has a plan. He has a purpose. He will fulfill it in his time, not our time. He is not constrained by those things. And so we must take comfort in the fact that God has not forgotten. He is not late. He is not a procrastinator like we are. He simply has his plan, he has his purpose, and he will fulfill it in his time. Let's take comfort today, my friends, as we look around us in knowing that God will do as he has promised in his time.